Former Congressman Matt Gaetz flamed out after hitting one of the very few guardrails left in Trump's D.C. Trump's remaining appointees may have a much easier time getting confirmed. According to reporting by Hugo Lowell at The Guardian today, Trump officials are set to receive immediate clearances and easier FBI vetting. Lowell reports that Trump's political appointees will only face FBI background checks after the incoming administration takes over the FBI and its own officials are installed in key positions. Here to explain why that should be alarming to everybody is Democratic Congressman Jim Himes, ranking member of the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman, I'm glad to have you here. I mean, on its face, it seems disturbing that you would do away with the FBI vetting process. But another layer is waiting until Trump officials are actually installed and have access to, classified information and, state secrets before you actually begin to vet them. What troubles you most about this potential scenario?
Not surprising, right? We saw this as a president who decided he would take very sensitive materials with him to Mar-a-Lago. That criminal case, of course, has been dismissed, but this is an administration and a president who has shown disregard for classified information. The reason this is so important is because, particularly in a complicated world, Iran, North Korea, China, Russia, desperate to understand our secrets, to know the capabilities that we have. And you can spin any number of scenarios. I mean, one of the reasons we do background checks is to see if perhaps an individual with access to classified information maybe has friends who we suspect of being spies, who maybe has something in their background that could be used to blackmail them. Something that is not known, but a Chinese intelligence officer can say, hey, if you don't report back to me on XYZ, we're going to expose you here. So it's a dumb risk to take. Especially since at the end of the day, transitions are used to getting this done very, very quickly in a way that does protect national security.
I got to ask you, I think that the question seems obvious, the answer seems obvious at first, but because of your expertise, I'm curious to know how you think about this. We have reporting that the Trump team has been relying on private lawyers to do some of the background checks for its appointees. I am aware that they would presumably have less eyes on in terms of potential compromised, positions some of these appointees may have. But could you talk specifically about how much weaker a vetting by a private lawyer would be compared to a proper FBI background check?
Sure. I mean, look, a private lawyer is being paid an hourly fee, right? And they may be reasonably good at a, traditional civil investigation. But, looking into somebody's background, understanding who is connected to who, that Korean individual that you actually spent a week with in London 2 weeks ago, there's no way that a lawyer, in the United States who has access to the kind of information and an understanding for the networks that exist out there designed to compromise these people in the same way that the FBI would. So look, it's a silly thing. It's particularly silly given that a lot of the folks, you start with Matt Gaetz, who fortunately is off the scene right now, but Tulsi Gabbard was an elected official, a member of Congress, ran for president, has never been through this process, has never had, to my knowledge anyway, other than perhaps because of her service in the National Guard, access to, strategic level secrets. And so there's just a huge, huge exposure here that need not be undertaken, but the Trump administration just seems to be, partly just pointing a big middle finger at anything that is traditional or conventional, a lot of it which is there for a reason.
Seems to be pointing a big middle finger, or actually is. Tulsi Gabbard, the job of investigating Tulsi Gabbard's background has fallen in some ways to the media. Mother Jones has an investigative piece looking at Tulsi Gabbard's numerous super PACs. There are multiple ones that have, and they found unidentifiable donors, suspicious spending. There are a lot of questions about who was bankrolling effectively some of her campaign arms. I know you're not in the Senate, but if she is, in fact, goes through the confirmation process, what questions would you have for Tulsi Gabbard, seeing as she could be the director of national intelligence?
Well, look, I've worked with a number of directors of national intelligence for a long time. There's really two key characteristics in that job. Number one, it's a massive administrative job, coordinating 17 or 18 different intelligence agencies. It's a huge leadership, management, almost like corporate management, like running a big corporation. Number one, that is not something that Tulsi Gabbard has ever done. She's run for elected office pretty much her whole life, and so there is a question about whether she's got the basic managerial competence. And even more concerning, and the second attribute of a good senior intelligence person is that they, regardless and at any cost, will speak truth to power. They cannot let their own opinions, they cannot let, the concern about what the boss may want to hear interfere with what they say. And look, Tulsi Gabbard has been a purveyor of conspiracy theories for a long time, that they were doing, biomedical experiments in Ukraine, and maybe that's why Russia invaded Ukraine. I mean, the conspiracy theories go on and on and on. And if I were a senator, I would want to say, hey, what's the deal? What is your attraction to these conspiracy theories? And how can you make me comfortable that, you will be nothing but 100% straight shooter when you provide intelligence to the president of the United States?
What do you make of Trump commissioning an investigation into Boris Epstein, his longtime his lawyer, who apparently was trying to shake down potential cabinet nominees? Do you think it's like a sign of hope that Trump's vaguely interested in, grift? I'm saying that with, the caveat that it is Trump we're talking about.
Well, look, it's, the intensity of the grift is just staggering. I mean, we've seen this from moment one, and it must be really confusing to be in the Trump orbit, right? Because on the one hand, this is the guy that sells Trump Bibles and Trump steaks, Trump University, Trump this, Trump that, even while campaigning, Trump sneakers, and it's okay for him to do that. The boss gets to do it, but no one else gets to do it. That must be sort of a confusing thing for it to be permissioned in the top guy, but obviously potentially a firing offense if you're not the top guy. So it must just be, a crazy town inside that operation.
I learned it from you, Dad. I learned it from watching you. Do you guys remember that ad? I'm betraying my age here. Congressman Jim Himes, thank you again for your time tonight. Really, really great to have your perspective and expertise on this.
Thank you, Alex.